Welcome to the Excel Purpose Show with Counselor.
Today we have with us Crystal Chow, wealth coach that's going to help women invest with confidence and clarity. So I'm super happy to dive in. My new friend that I met from Amsterdam. Welcome.
Thank you for having me, Kams. I really love your energy. And hi, everyone.
Yeah, I love your energy too.
Thank you.
You're one of those people that's like, when I'm in the space, this is like, you have really positive energy, really friendly too. So I found it just really easy to like, hey, meet a new friend. And yeah, I'd love to know more of what you do. And that's why we're doing this today.
All right, awesome. So basically, I'm from Singapore, and yeah, I was like naturally gravitated to a fellow Asian woman. Yeah, so basically, what I do right now is that I actually coach women to guide them to actually invest with clarity. Because being in finance for the for 13 years, I realized that like I really want to support women, uh, and women are actually underinvested. And the reason why I know is that when I was in finance, in banking, and in crypto, 80% of my clients were male.
They were
I only
what?
had like, they were male, they
Oh,
were
they were
men.
male. Right.
Yeah, so only 20% they were women. And being a third generation of single mother, being brought up by my mom, who is a single mom, and my maternal grandma, who is a single mom, I saw how much they suffered when they're not financially literate.
And
So
you're a single mom
mhm,
yourself, right?
I am too. But when I became a single mom, I did it by choice because I had the financial empowerment to be able to walk out of an abusive marriage,
Okay,
which is really different from both
let's
of
pause
them.
there. There's a lot of things going on there, right?
Yeah.
So, okay. Okay, so your background, it's
Mm.
like you've seen your mum and your grandma, correct me if I'm wrong, but like kind of like suffer through um without the independence of taking care of themselves and had to rely on a male figure and was stuck in their
Mm.
situation, or is that incorrect?
No, actually, no, that's not exactly. So just a bit more context. So my grandma, she was actually she was illiterate because in the olden days, that generation, when they have bigger families, the woman, they don't have the opportunity to pursue a higher education.
Yeah,
So
that's
her
true.
brothers, like they completed high school, but for her, she just completed like I said, maybe just a few grades. So basically, she was married to a drug addict. So I never ever seen my maternal
But like an
grandfather before.
admirable one,
I
or
have no
like
idea.
a
So
shady.
I've never seen him before, but because she raised me, so as I grow up, I always felt that bitterness because she had to take on multiple odd jobs just to let my mom get by. Yeah, so my mom grew up in poverty. She was in that really scarcity mode. And yeah, so I think witnessing that kind of toxic dynamic, that also caused her to actually get into a non-ideal marriage either because that there wasn't any like great examples
So does
for
she
her.
marry someone that's relatively wealthy to have like the
Yes.
better life? Or, okay.
Yes. So she thought that when she actually found my dad, it was like a life buoy for her to get out of poverty.
Yeah.
But the truth is, my dad wasn't good at managing money either. It just so happened that my paternal grandparents, they were businessmen. So they happened to have businesses, they ran restaurants. And so on the surface, they seem okay, but they didn't have the last generation, they didn't have time to teach their kids about that financial literacy. So both my parents were really, really poor with that.
Okay, that's a
And
good point
mm,
because like it's kind of like two skill sets when it comes to
mm,
money, right? One is like making it, but two is like keeping it, right?
exactly. And my dad wasn't good with both because he wasn't the one making the money anyway. It was my grandparents. But
Inherit.
because in the past, we were not in a technological age, right? So they were
Mm,
merchants, they were traders, they were like business owner. So if their business thrive, they actually had very little time for the kids.
yeah,
So my dad and
that was
his
very common
sibling,
back then.
yeah, exactly. They were raised by the maids. They had a few helper like staying with them in house, and like so that's why they did not actually like all the siblings. They don't have the business acumen that my
Mhm.
grandparents had. They don't know how to make money. They don't know how to keep money.
Okay, and then so
Mm.
okay, so you grew up with that. So what
Mhm.
did you choose on your path? What did you what did you study, and then how did you get into?
Mm,
Did you do finance, banking,
yeah,
or what's
I
your
did. Okay, so my background, it is also really fascinating. So I actually studied business because, and it was by chance. The reason is because I wasn't good with science. So I was like, oh, like this is so boring. I'm not liking it. So it's based on elimination.
background?
I wasn't keen in engineering. I wasn't keen in technology. Okay, I'm left with business, so I just go for it. And even I mean, as I was in school, I felt like I didn't really what was taught in school wasn't really nourishing, wasn't really applicable in reality. So I remember when I was a student, I was actually working a lot to gain more of real life experience.
Oh, so
And
you were working in a job whilst you were studying college or
yes,
university. Okay.
exactly, exactly.
Like an office job or what kind of?
No, so I did try office job, but I realized that for my personality, like I'm really, like you mentioned, right? I'm a people person. I like to interact. So I did try like a data entry job, and that almost killed me. I was like sitting there, I was like, oh man, this is so painful to count down to lunch and count down to the end of the day. Like I can't do it. So I remember I was like working in retail. I was selling high-end skincare products back then,
Oh,
as I was when I was a student
yeah.
at maybe Procter and Gamble. So it was fun. It was an amazing experience.
That's a big.
And exactly, but I was mainly in the retail space
Uh-huh.
selling. Yeah, so I think in sales there's always the demand for anyone. As long as you have a mouth, you like talking. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I really enjoyed myself. So I think that was actually a glimpse of personal understanding. And I realized, oh, okay, I really like analyzing people, talking to people, understand the deeper psychology of people. Because when you talk about like human and human interaction, in order to get a sale, you also need to understand, what's their pain point and everything. So I realized that I am a deep thinker. So I tend to actually look at things beneath the surface. So I think that was actually a glimpse
In
into,
sales.
yes, yes, in sales. Mm. I mean,
Yeah.
that's just my personal interest. And I think it comes really natural and intuitive with me, which is why subsequently, when I actually went into banking, I landed up in banking. I actually unconsciously brought this over because this is just like the internal operating system within me. So I realized as I was actually recommending
Transferable
invest,
skills.
yeah, exactly, and it's so intuitive to me. So when I actually was recommending investment, I also unconsciously analyzed their patterns. And in a way, I actually, when I took my coaching certificate with ICF 2 years ago, I realized that whatever that they have taught me, it was nothing new because I was already unconsciously coaching them
Yeah.
to actually recommend them to the investment product that actually suits them. So I realized that, oh, actually combining coaching and teaching people about finance, it's been something that I've always been doing. It's just that in the past, I was doing it with the institutions. And now I'm just actually putting my words and amplifying it to the people that may not even reach me. And I can do it at scale to support women that I really want to.
Okay. So I know
Mm,
that in your past,
mm.
you weren't always good with money. You used to spend money a fair bit in your 20s, right?
A lot. Yes, yes.
Which is like
Actually,
what most people is. That's the problem in society in general, I would say.
mm,
So
yeah,
how
especially
did you switch? How did you get out of that loop? Because I know not just people in their 20s, even though I know in the 20s we tend to do it a lot because this is the age where we're looking for belonging, approval of our peers.
mm,
And so we want to put up the front that's like, we're doing well off, especially in Asian culture, we have this like
yeah.
face thing that we want to
Yes, and the flaunting and the
yeah,
flaunting of the wealth, the
yeah,
ego.
prosperity. It's very
Mm,
built in our culture.
yes,
So
it is.
how did you instead of just like the moment you receive, we have money, and we was just
Mm,
saying like, it's one thing to generate money, but it's another
mm,
thing to keep it. There's a lot of people that's okay in generating money, I would say.
yeah,
But keeping it is a different thing. So the more money they make, the more they spend. Like it's just like instead of
exactly,
buying like
exactly.
a really cheap clothes, now it's like, oh, I can buy the brand name tag clothes, and I can buy the fancy car and whatnot. So how did
Mm.
you get out of this loop to be investing, like, with the financial savvy mindset?
Exactly. And okay, so actually to your point, I think that's a really good point. It really has nothing to do with age. Be it your 20s, even my parent, like my mom, she's in her 50s, my dad's in his 60s. I think especially when we are in this era of consumerism, we are always blasted with information to buy this, to experience this and this and that. So,
Yeah.
and sometimes to fight,
Now we happen to see a lot of that too, because people are going on
yes,
social media, and social
even
media
when you
is
go to
just the
social
highlight.
media, they're trying to sell you something.
Right.
Yeah, like for example, like TikTok. I hardly go on TikTok, but you know, the moment you go in, there is like a page. I'm so surprised that there's like pages that you know you do like TikTok, Facebook Live, like they're just selling you things.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so like the spending just gets easier and easier because they are
Yes.
removing the barrier to make you spend.
Right. Yeah. Our cards are
Exactly.
connected on the phone now. It's just like a
Yes.
click of a button, and it's like
Yes,
you don't feel the pain.
you don't even have to go out to spend your money. You can just sit where you are. Even
Right.
like the moment you wake up on your bed, you can start, you know, the money just goes.
Yeah. So give us some tips on how to
Yes.
break this loop, and also how you got out of it.
Yes, that's a really great point. So how I got out of them, it wasn't until I started serving the high net worth clients. That was when I started seeing that they were doing things that are so different from the regular retail clients, that the moms and pops. So I realized that they still spend money. Like even for me, it's not about like saving every cent and be so frugal like our grandparents era where they've been through poverty. Yeah, my grandma putting in money in the tin, you know, like biscuit tin and stuff like that. But the point is actually still spending, but spending what you have earned from your investment. So it's actually about the money flow. So when you receive your money, instead of going out into consuming, into consumption, like 100% in, 100% out into consumption, it's taking out a portion. Like if you have never invested before, start with 5%. But most of the time, like for people that I support, you know, their portfolio they have acquired some, but they're mostly sitting in cash, is to really allocate this amount or a bigger amount to place it into investments, into different financial instruments, investment tools, into assets that actually grows. Because the truth is, most of the time, what I observe in the past, I also confused assets and liabilities. I thought my Chanel handbag was an asset. Okay, I thought my, you know, like the different, I mean, well,
Yeah, it
yes,
could
it could,
appreciate in price, but mostly it doesn't.
could
Chanel
be,
doesn't.
but mostly it doesn't.
Louis
Because
Vuitton maybe it keeps.
it depends also. So basically, if you want to actually use that as investment, you have to study that too. Because even like when you talk about high-end luxury bag, there's only a small portion that is able to allow you to make money.
Yes.
The most of
Okay,
them are
so let's
depreciating.
break this down, because I think that even though I understand you, because my background is in business and accounting, so I get the whole asset liability and all that. I think most people don't. So let's break that down to a way people do understand. So why don't you give them, your definition of what it means? Why are we saying it's not an asset? Because someone's going to go, oh yeah, I own that car, or I own that handbag. They feel like that's an asset. Tell them why it's not.
Yes, I love it. And then that's what I do best. I simplify complex concept into something really simple. So how do you actually differentiate what's an asset and what's a liability? Simply means for an asset, when you sell it, it will actually be more. The value holds and appreciates. Meaning, if you actually purchase this bag at $10,000, when you sell it, it can still hold its value at $10,000, or it can start to make you money to $12,000. So when it actually holds its value, it's considered store of value. So even for assets, there's two categories. And the other one is because of the demand and supply, meaning, for example, when more people want this, it becomes scarce, and the supply is fixed or shrinking. Then that's where there is a force to push the price higher for the price to grow. But technically, that is also the reason why most of the handbags are not going to be making money, because the producer will just keep producing. And if there's so many in the market, the price will just go down and down and down, especially when the demand is coming down.
Yeah, so the takeaway here is if we're buying something, and people should just imagine in the future, it's like, okay, if 1 year later, 2 years later, if I kept this relatively reasonable state, would
Who is
I
going to buy
still
it?
be able to sell this at a same
Yes,
price or at a higher price? And if you
correct.
know in your head already that the chances is likely, it's like, I'm probably going to lose 50% of this. It's like, well, that's not
Then
an
that's a
investment.
that's a
Not an asset.
liability.
Yes.
Exactly. So
Right.
before you consider any investment, anything, be it your bags, your stocks, your crypto, your even your real estate, always think about, okay, if I'm gonna sell it in the future, who is gonna buy it? And how much are they gonna pay for it? Why is that so these are just simple philosophy to think about. So when you actually ask yourself this question and you find that maybe there's actually not going to be that big of a demand, or yeah, then
I
maybe
love
that's
that you mentioned this because this is
mm,
showing, okay, guys, if
mm,
the answer is I don't know, go do
yeah,
some research. It's like go
yes,
look
find
on
out.
eBay if there's a
Mm,
lot of bids on it, or go on
yes,
some kind of discussion forum. And is there already an established community? Let's just
yes,
run with the Chanel handbag, right? Is there an
yes,
established Chanel handbag community you can find on the internet where people are
mm,
like, oh, I really want that bag, I will pay anything for it. And if you see a
yes,
trail of comment, now this is actually giving you confidence to go, oh, okay, I know if I put this out, the chances is someone's going to snap it like they want it right
yes,
away, right? That's what
yes, yes,
okay.
yes, that's
Amazing.
right. And
I
if it's like crickets, like nobody is having that conversation, then maybe you can think about it. Maybe even investing in
right.
an Hermes handbag will be better because of how like slow and customized, like like the whole process. So it's really considering how they are producing the supply and the demand. And when you work that out and there's a demand, but the supply is not that much to meet up to the demand, then that's where you know that you will actually get that means there's a potential for you to make money.
Yeah, it's like Rolex
Mm.
watches, right? It's like they
Yes, yes, yes.
like I know a friend that's like, yo, he's like a doctor, he was getting married
Mm,
and he wanted
mm,
like this Rolex watch, right? And he's
mm.
like, if you can get me this thing, I will pay like any money for it, right? But it's like you
Exactly.
have to get your hands on it. So if someone
Yes,
actually have them, it's like there's like a ready
mm,
buyer. I
exactly.
love that the examples you're bringing up. I don't
Mm,
want people to miss the point that you brought earlier too. So I'm gonna go just reverse a little bit. When you mentioned that it's about investing in what you already earned. I think it was something to that effect, right? So you mentioned, okay, if you're just starting, maybe start with 5% and see what
mm.
happens. But it's about the money that you earn. Use this investment and roll it forward, right? So then you're
Yes.
technically never at a loss because once you've invested something and it made you money, you're
Mhm.
continuously just growing this pool
Yes.
of money,
Yes.
right?
And in investment terms, this is actually called compounding effect. And it's actually a really powerful, I would say people even classify it as the eighth wonder of the world. Because for compounding, for example, if you actually compound $1 every day, I even have a statistics, like for example, if you actually for example, compound $1 a day. Okay, so maybe by a week, you're only gonna see $7. But
Mhm.
let's just say if this money, okay, if this $1 doubles every day, okay, for the next 21 days, actually, for the first few days, you will actually see that it's very little because the $1 today, the next day, $1 multiplied by like it grows by 50, it doubles, it becomes only $2. The third day, it becomes $4. So the initial growth is actually going to be pretty slow and negligible. But by 21 days, do you want to guess how much, based on this doubling effect, how much will this dollar
I don't
expand?
know, actually. I can't do that ballpark number in my head.
Yeah. So it actually will grow to $2 million in
Is
21
how
days.
long was that?
Just 21 days if it doubles.
21 if it doubled.
Yes, correct.
Yeah. Okay. So what, how many million?
2 million.
2
So
million. Yeah. Okay.
exactly.
That's a pretty radical number, right? Like in someone's head.
Yes.
And so now they're just going to go, it's probably in our head would be
Mm.
screaming a bit like, okay, WTF, like what?
Yes.
Right? And
Yes.
it's like, I do want to make this realistic, right? Because I think this is a good example to give someone the idea of what compounding effect means when you just double it
Yes.
each day. But in reality,
Mm.
that's very hard to double your investment every single day because we're saying
So
that's
this is just to put things
100%.
like into visual context, but
Yeah.
let's just say realistically, let's just say if you turn these days to years, it's still going to be pretty phenomenal, right? If you think about it, and if it doesn't double, it just grows by 10% or 20%,
Mhm.
actually having $1 million
It still grows a lot.
is,
Very true.
yes, it is. I mean, you can search up any compounding calculator online. There are plenty of free calculators. Punch in an amount, maybe $500, 1,000, or if you have more, 10,000 each month. When you invest
Do you have
this,
one in front of you right now when
yes,
you're doing that count?
yeah, I can just search it up
Okay,
right now.
let's just say if we throw in, I'm going to go to a normal scenario because I think that's more helpful for people, right?
Yes, okay, I
Um,
can just share my screen.
let's say if you want to share screen,
Yeah.
we can. Hang on, I have to give you share. I have to give you share access. One moment. Okay, you can share screen, but in case
All
someone's
right.
just listening to this, let's do the
Okay.
scenario. Okay,
Mhm.
let's say I am brand new, starting out, and I want to put my investment in. I want to make it. I want to see something, so I don't want to do like $1 or something. But let's just say
Mhm.
we have $1,000 that we put aside. We
Mhm.
go, okay, we'll invest $1,000, and if this thing
Okay.
grows by 10%, which I think it's kind of fair, right? Like it's a reasonable
It's
thing
reasonable.
that's possible. 10% over like this would be like
20 years?
20 years,
Yeah,
but
because we use 21 days to calculate, so
we
you can
make
see
this
that.
like 10%. What do you think it's fair? Do you want to do it monthly or yearly, or what are we doing?
Yeah, I think monthly contribution, let's say a contribution of $1,000 contributing monthly for
Okay, so
21
every month we're
years.
saying every month we're putting $1,000 in there. After
Yes,
21 years, what would happen?
yes.
At a 10%.
Since we use 21
Yeah,
days to
yeah. I
start.
think that's a
So,
fair thing. Okay,
mm,
what do we get?
exactly. Can you see my screen right now?
Yeah, yeah, I can.
All right. So you can see that, okay, on this blue chart, if you were to just put this $1,000 into your bank account every month, by by the end of 21 years, you would have actually, your principal sum will be $262,000. But if it just compounds at 10% per annum, you can see that in the initial years, the interest is not a lot. It's like, okay, it's growing, quite marginal, but it starts to actually explode in the midpoint. And by the time 21 years later, you would have actually gained $580,000 as
Yeah.
your interest, and your whole portfolio would have grown to 842,000.
42, that's pretty wild because
That is
I'm
pretty,
sure if we extend that to like say 30 years, it's definitely over a million. So even if 25
yes,
years is probably going to get over there already.
exactly. And let's just say 10% is actually a really conservative
Yeah.
growth rate, because that is actually even lesser than the S&P index. So if it grows at even a higher rate, for example, 20%, you by 21 years, you would have actually, your portfolio would have grown, your 262,000 portfolio, the capital would have grown to $3.16 million. And let's
Yeah, and
just
that's by
say,
doing nothing. That's like the lazy way. It's like I do
exactly.
want people to see this because I don't think
Mm,
in their head they can normally
mhm.
just
Comprehend.
conceive, yeah, how it adds up to that. So
Exactly.
that's
And
pretty
let's
wild.
just say if you are actually increasing your investment amount, which is back to your question, right? How did I actually really pivot? Because when I started to see the power of investment, of letting my money grow, I wasn't really interested in spending it on trash anymore, on things
Mhm.
that is going to depreciate, and I have a hard time selling. When I sell it at a discount. If I were to actually place them into investment even more aggressively, I could have made so much more if I were to set aside 10,000 each month. This would have grown, your capital of 2.5 million would have grown to by 24
Yeah.
million, and that will actually compound to $27 million over 21 years at
Yeah.
20% per
So
annum.
for someone that's like growing aggressively, they have the money, they earn a fair bit. But
Mm,
even in that first scenario where we're
mm.
saying $1,000 a month, I think most people would have that,
Very
right?
reasonable.
It's like
Exactly,
you
exactly.
just not buying that phone, or you're not buying
Mm,
a few
exactly.
$1,000 handbag, or you're not buying that
Mm,
pair of shoes. It's like we're just
mm.
talking every month you made
And
that.
it's not buying forever. It's just reallocating the funds so that you invest it first. It's
Yeah.
the order. It's actually how you're going to place the order, right? So instead of going straight into consuming it, okay,
Mhm.
actually taking a portion. It's also not you're not going to take everything. You're just going to take a portion, a comfortable portion that you're not going to utilize in the next few years. Set it aside into investment. You can still spend the rest, because I never believe in
Can we
not
stop
spending.
sharing that so we can see you?
Okay, sure. And okay, this is also to show you there's this saying that the rich get richer, because when they actually start doing it right, and when they start to double down and invest so much more, that's where the
It
gains just get
exponentially
crazy.
grows. Yeah.
Exactly. And so much more because they are using a much bigger capital initial investment to allow it to just grow. So this is actually just to show you that why there's this saying of the rich getting richer and the poor keeps getting poorer because they are just in the hamster rat race that they never get to see out of that that hamster wheel.
Yeah, that loop that
Mm.
they're in because they're so busy just doing their day job and trying to survive.
Chasing their own tail, correct? Because
Yeah.
once it's finished, I better continue working, and then they never take time to actually step out to learn to see the bigger picture. Because if you think about it, even the Chanel example is just a simple example that any asset class you can make money, but you just
Let's
have
talk
to.
about the asset classes. So, what options do people have if they want to kickstart? Let's talk
Mm.
about. Let's go through
Of
those.
course, let's just say the easiest one would be, for example, for stocks, crypto, precious metal. These are actually easier asset class because the information are a lot more accessible, and also there are a lot more people trading it. That means there is actually market activity,
Yes.
people
Yeah.
buying and selling. So there's a lot more transparency and activities.
Okay. To make that for people to understand.
Understand?
So, Crystal's saying, yeah, like the activity meaning there's already an established market that people are buying and selling
Yes,
all the time. So it's not like you have this handbag. You might have to take a whole year to find that one buyer or something.
exactly,
Whereas
exactly.
we're
Because
saying an
mm,
established market, people are
you can
continuously trading,
you
so
can
you
easily
it's a
enter and
tool.
you can easily exit.
Right.
Because like you mentioned, the handbag, you may have to wait for a long time. That is also the same for properties, for real estate. Because it's the information is transparent, but it's not that liquid. In financial term, it's called liquid, meaning when you want to buy and sell immediately, first of
Mhm.
all, you will need to find a matching buyer and
Right.
to sell it to. And same
Yeah.
thing, if you want to buy right now and I have cash, you also need to find the property that you like, that fits your budget and everything. So it's a bit illiquid. And what most people are doing wrong, especially for women, is
Mhm.
that because they're not familiar with other assets, the first investment that they start is always in real estate, their home. And
Yeah,
they
because
think
it's the
that that is
most
their
familiar
investment.
to us. Like, and it feels safe versus like
Exactly. But the
we're
truth is that is also the wrong order because then all the money is being stuck in this asset that doesn't really grow. Because for property itself, for real estate, first of all, the price does not the price only appreciate because it actually matches the inflation. So technically, the four walls are still four walls. So 10 years ago, it's the same four walls. 10 years later, it'll still be the same four walls. So what happens is that the value on its own, it did not appreciate in value, not because it suddenly grew an extension and it became better. The only reason why the prices increase is because to actually match up to the inflation. That's one reason. The
it's
second
not
reason,
just inflation though, there's
no,
capital growth.
this yeah, the reason why there's capital growth is because mainly because of inflation. The second reason is because of demand and supply. That's about it.
Yes, demand and supply. Because if we
Mm,
go inflation, let's say that's like 2.5%, right?
mm,
People's wage right now, like I'm not sure you're in Singapore, right?
mm,
So it's like in Sydney, the property price have gone up so much that if people's normal labor wage is matching inflation, it's
mm.
like the dream of buying a home, they can't grasp that anymore. It's not like 10 years ago, whereas they
Yes.
could have afforded. So that's why it's not just inflation,
Mm.
right? Because
So
their
that's why
labor
in
wage is not
in
matching.
cities, it's actually the prices move even more because of demand and supply. So it's both the inflation plus the demand and supply. Pretty much like if you think about it in simple concept, like McDonald's. Technically, the same McChicken that we have right now is the same as the same McChicken, pretty much similar. Okay, I don't want to talk about that detail, but it's the same. It's the pretty similar as what we had 10 years ago. But 10 years ago, the prices and right now is different. Not that they have actually added something more fancy, not that the meal size is bigger or whatnot. It's just that it has actually moved in tandem of inflation. But sometimes even moving at the same pace of inflation, some might outpace the inflation, but it's actually growing. together. It's a reflection that the prices have inflated. The inflation is.
I don't want to get into the property thing too much because yeah, like I understand where you're going. Let's put it more. Houses is like you need a big chunk of money, and most people don't have that chunk of money to buy it even as a deposit. And then yes, you have to wait for it to grow, and that could take a number of
Exactly.
years to grow.
Exactly. And that's what I see in many people. Like, for example, especially when they're first starting out, their first investment, what happens is that they're just saving in cash, waiting and waiting to accumulate enough deposit just for their first home. And thinking that it is going to be an investment. And what happens is that as they are waiting over the years, the amount in cash that they have saved would have already shrunk in value. And what they can actually, that means like, it's like chasing a moving goalpost, like chasing a carrot that is always moving. And it's like, I thought I've saved enough, but it's not enough again. Yeah, and then it's just
Yeah,
moving.
I agree that most people is like in debt more than in asset when it comes to
Yes.
property,
Yes.
because they just like the idea of having bought it, but it's like you don't own it, the bank owns it. When you have a
Yes.
mortgage, it's like the bank is that actually owns that until you
Yes.
pay it off 100%. It's not
Yes.
yours. So even if you
Yes.
bought $1 million home, you're not a millionaire. You're just 900,000
In
in
debt.
debt or whatever it is,
Yes,
right?
exactly.
And that, I
Exactly.
think that's one of the thing that people get wrong. So let's go back to your point, which is the initial thing that is easier to get started on is stock. We're talking like gold or
Crypto, yeah,
some
precious
metal.
metal.
Yeah.
Correct. So it's really, I think the most important essence is actually just to be curious, just to develop maybe a healthier relationship, to be curious instead of shutting off to say that no, I'm only gonna be focused on one asset. And with that curiosity, you'll be able to find that, okay, maybe I will just open one door. I think like maybe stocks is more something that I'm curious to dig in a little. Just follow that
How
trail.
did you start your stock journey? Just so people have an idea, because I think people find that scary. Like, is there any platform you would recommend, or if they go, okay, fine, I'll buy some stock, and then look, what should they do from here?
Yeah. So I think now we are in an era that learning things is so easy. You can just search up. I mean, like for example, I think my journey is a little unique. So because I was working in a bank, and for me, of course, when I first started with recommending investment to the regular retail clients, I was actually recommending things that were a lot more basic, like for example, endowment plans, unit trust. But as I progressed to serving the high net worth clients, we actually did a lot more complicated investments. And for me, because I think something a bit strange in me is that like I can go through all the training, but if I don't understand, I can't speak with conviction. So what I did is the same thing. I actually led with myself with curiosity. So I went to actually search up online, even I paid for coaches to just expand my perspective and horizon into different asset classes. And then I started investing. And I realized that investment is pretty much like any sports. It's not a spectator sports, meaning you can actually consume as much information as you want. But if you never have a dollar that is invested in, you don't have your skin in the game, you will never really embody that learning. So even like some people say that, oh, you open a demo account to trade in stocks or whatsoever. I tried that before, but how we show up as in a demo account is never going to be the same as how we show up using our own cash.
I agree with you. I saw the demo account thing, opened it multiple times, never
Yeah.
used it. The only time I actually learned is the moment I put money.
Yes. But you don't have to put everything. You can start off with just an
start off
amount,
something.
correct, a testing amount to learn. So to me, I always believe that money is an energetic exchange. Is when you actually put in a little bit of money to have some skin in the game, you can learn. Of course, you can learn it on your own, which was what I did previously. And back then, yeah, I started on my own. Then I realized the journey is too slow. I paid for coaches to learn. Yeah, and that's the same. Like, and once I actually gained that confidence, that was when I started investing more and more.
I think most people is like relatively scared and or lazy to do the research on their own. So if there's someone that's already there that can give them the guidance, like that's always the easiest path, right? Like just to learn from someone. So if they resonating with you, where are you going on? Like what do you have what's your vision now? Where do you want to take women? What's that looking like for you? And what can they get if they're interested to jump on your journey? Do you help them make investment decisions, or do you have some sort of tool, or what do you have?
Yeah, okay. So basically, right now, I mean, they can find me on my Instagram. It's Shining with Crystal. That's my personal Instagram, which I share some investment philosophies, thought process. And what I'm building right now is actually a wealthy woman impact community. Because I feel like ultimately, when we talk about money, it's just one part of wealth. And when we talk about wealth, it's really about a lot about. So of course, money is the easiest out of everything to tackle, to learn. But wealth comes in a lot of deeper layers. For example, even connections, like our connection, collaboration, and everything. That's where money can really amplify. Because what I'm teaching in terms of my coaching, either on a group basis or one-on-one, is actually through growing that wealth. Yeah, through multiplying that wealth. But the creation
And
of
a
the
lot
wealth,
of it comes from network, right? Like the people that you know in your circle.
yes, correct. So like you mentioned earlier, right, there's two formulas to wealth. One is multiplying, one is growing. So the community itself, it is actually more of learning the philosophy of growing the wealth. The coaching is actually to multiply what you have right now. So there's two parts. And I feel like they are both part of wealth creation.
Tell me more about the community. Is it like online based? Is it in person? What platform does it sit on?
Right now it's online based because I realized that the women that are attracted to me, they are actually from all over the world because it's not about demographic, right? It's about the psychographic and the values. So right now I'm actually hosting it on NAS.io platform. It's actually nas.io/wealthy woman. And I do envision more in the next few years for this to evolve because right now it's actually just yeah, I mean right now, what I'm doing is actually mainly to have my content, and I'll also be launching my podcast on the 1st of October. It's called a
Amazing. It's coming
yeah,
up
Wealthy
soon.
Woman podcast because I realized that for me to be able to really amplify my impact is really through sharing my thought process. And yeah, so that's why the easy way that they can access me is through the podcast. And then if they resonate with what I share and they want to go deeper, then that's where they can come into my group coaching where I don't really tell them what to invest, but I actually guide them, I teach them, I help them to understand so that they can be empowered on their own.
What does that look like? Do you jump online like every week or every month?
For the group coaching that
Yeah, the group coaching.
Okay, so for the group coaching, usually I bring women through a journey, a 6-month journey, okay, where I will drop lessons every week, and every bi-weekly we will come together for a group call. And each lessons, there will be actually action for them to take and also deeper reflection. So it's both the inner and outer work. Because for me, I really believe in a duality of wealth, meaning coming from a very masculine finance background, when people think about money, they always think about the left brain, the strategies, the tools, the timing. That is actually, well, that is true, but that is only part of the equation. And I think for women, we have another superpower, which is the feminine energy. Into, for example, believing that money can be simple and fun, leaning a little bit into our intuition. Okay, but we need to have that solid foundation, the structure, to be able to allow it to flow. Because I realized that also, serving clients from a different spectrum of net worth and coaching women, I realized that at different net worth, what we have to do is very different. Say, for example, when we are actually at a stage of a net worth of 0 to 100,000, we really need to bring in the hustle energy to help us to earn that first 100,000. But if
Yes,
they are
I
already
agree with
having
you.
yeah,
That
when
should
the net
really change your mindset when you make your first 100,000.
exactly. But if you bring that hustle energy when
Yeah.
your net worth is 1 million and above, you're not gonna hustle and break through that roof, that ceiling. You have to actually tune in a little bit into the femininity to
I love
start to
that.
attract, to start to, so it's a very different mindset. So some people well, their net worth is high, but they are still operating from that hustle operating system, and that's a mismatch. So these are actually things that we do, and to align both the external, which is the left brain, the physical manifestation, and the inner state, which is the feminine side of the wealth. So that's the duality that I actually help people to reconnect back with.
How did you find your purpose? So, you know, a lot of people have like a message or something they want to share. It may not be in the finance area, right? But they may have something that they also want to create community and help people. How did you find this purpose of yours to want to help women with finance and then keep it like the spark there, that because you have a lot of energy when you talk about this, right?
Yes.
So how do you keep this? Because if they don't have this right
Mm.
now, what tips do you have for them?
Okay, I feel that our purpose is usually embedded within us. It almost feels like a treasure hunt. It has always been there. Like for me, it wasn't until these recent years that I realized that this is getting stronger and stronger because I lean into the feminine energy. I lean into tuning in and believing in myself. And I realized that all these, like my strength, my purpose, and everything, it has always been there. It's just that previously I was looking at other people's blueprint, other people's map, other people's path, and doubting myself to feel like, oh, maybe I'm too hyper, I'm too loud, I'm too, like outspoken. But I realized that when I learned to trust myself, these are actually my greatest strength. And I don't have to compare my journey with others.
How did you get this mindset shift?
I think it wasn't until I really had enough with life. And in the
When you
context of
say enough with life, what's that
no,
point? Like, is it
okay,
so painful?
yes, that was actually being in a marriage. So basically, because I was actually previously in an abusive marriage, I was like emotionally, mentally, I was really like jaded and chipped away every bit of my self-worth. So initially I was still putting up with it, but that was actually a really great trigger for me to go deep into personal development, to realize that this
How
gem has
many
always
years
been.
did you put up with it?
I got married in 2018 and the abuse came immediately right after the marriage.
Okay.
Yeah, and I just put up with it. Not too many years because I shortly got, I mean, as the marriage was crumbling, um, I realized I got pregnant. So in 2019, as I was really about to, like I was thinking of giving up, then I found myself pregnant.
Mm.
So at that moment, I was actually really thinking of terminating the pregnancy because growing up, in with two generations of single mothers, seeing them suffer, seeing them being so bitter, to me, the last thing
Repeat
is
that
to
business.
bring my daughter into life, knowing that this whole marriage is not gonna like if it continues, it's gonna be really toxic for her. So, but long story short, I decided to continue the pregnancy to keep her, and that was the most challenging yet the most fulfilling decision in my life. And that actually really anchored me in my mission because I realized that now having this responsibility, having a daughter, I don't want her to repeat the patterns. I don't want to continue with that pattern that my last generation had. I want to break the pattern. And I want her to actually see that if things are not right, you don't have to wait till you you can make a different choice. You have option.
When did you leave? What year?
I left when my daughter was about one.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
not about 3 years in the marriage, I
Had any
realized.
support?
Hmm?
Did you have your husband's support? What, like, while she was growing up?
No. So that's why I think that gave me even more conviction to want to support women because I knew that, I mean, looking at my parents, how they fought for us, spending so much money with the lawyers and everything, I know that this is going to be a sunk cost. So initially, when I actually filed for a divorce, I did a DIY filing online. I didn't even go to the lawyer because I feel like, nah, I
Yeah.
just want to get out of it. I don't need anything from him. So he was the one who wanted to pursue a bit more. So yeah, but anyway, the thing is that he was actually, so when we finalized the divorce contract, the agreement, he only gave a little child support. It was about maybe 500 Singapore dollars, which is fine. Like fuck, I
Yeah,
didn't care. Like,
basically an
whatever,
out.
just get out of my life. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was like he only gave it for 4 months and subsequently it was gone. So to me, it was like, wow, thank God I had my finances planned. I had
Holy
it in
crap.
place.
No, like, does by law, do they not have anything up to you got to support your own child till they're 18?
I think technically, I mean, with that divorce agreement, I can fight for it and whatsoever. But to me, it is gonna spend my time, my money, my energy to be enmeshed in this dynamic.
Yeah.
I don't feel that it's worth it. It's not like he's giving me
Right.
$5,000, $50,000. It's
Yeah.
just $500. Like
So it's a
whatever.
total
Like
disconnect. Like he's not in her life or your life
he
anymore.
still is. So basically, like to me, s- growing up in a divorced family, I know that. I mean, as much as he may not be the best partner, but my daughter still deserve to
Oh,
be feel
right.
loved by her father, by the
Mhm.
paternal side. So he still has access to her. I never ever talk anything bad to her because there's no need to burden the child with your your own
Mhm.
bitterness and resentment. And if like maybe initially I really felt wronged and I feel so bad about it. I did share with some friends, but now I've already alchemized this and I actually see so much goodness that came out of it. Because if it wasn't this experience that broke me, I wouldn't be so authentic
Yes.
to know who I am and to even learn how to set boundaries. It actually now that I've actually been so deep into personal development, I realized that it wasn't even his fault because I didn't know how to set boundaries. Even
Mhm.
if it wasn't him, I would have attracted somebody who is
Yeah.
also a narcissist who because I need to learn this lesson in my life.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, so I realized that, oh wow, thank God I actually learned earlier. I
Yeah.
don't have to waste decades to learn it way later in my life. And I can do so much more. Like I'm so anchored in my mission. I can potentially still find like a partner. I still have so many more decades to enjoy my life. Like, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so true. I would give you a hug if I was in front of you.
Oh,
Thank you for sharing that, the vulnerability of that, and like super brave though. So I think most women in your situation probably wouldn't be as brave to get out when the child's one. Like I know a lot of mothers is like they kind of like put up with it until the child is like older and whatnot. So yeah, just amazing that you actually had the courage to start that new life for yourself. Yeah.
yeah. And that is exactly why I want to step on this mission because I realized that in dynamics like that, there's only generally two things, right?
Mm-hmm.
One is because the women they're not clear
Yeah.
about what's supporting them and they see a lot of the potential. Like I hope he lives up to my expectation. I hope he change, like not being able to see clearly. The second thing is that they don't really have the financial means to walk out of it. Because frankly,
Yeah,
it's actually
most of them have no
financially.
job, right? Like go
Exactly. No
elsewhere.
job, or even if you have a job, I mean, stepping out is going to be financially really
Right.
taxing because imagine you have to actually get a new apartment on your own.
Yeah.
You buy or rent. The whole responsibility is on you. And if he doesn't pay, you got to actually pay. And then imagine if you are having a bitter relationship with them and you cut off the contact, then you have to take care of your child yourself, like 100%, and then you have to work to fund for everything. Like, how is it going to logistically and financially make sense?
Yeah, mentally,
Yeah,
emotionally, it's already super tough. Then you have
and
like the financial
financially, yes.
concern, and then actually the safety of having food and a home.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah,
So that's why most people put up with it. So to me, although money is not exactly the point, but money helps you to actually open many more doors and give you
the
the option.
options.
Like for
Yeah,
example, the option of me getting a part-time helper to come and clean up the house like weekly, the option of, just moving, like the autonomy of moving around, like okay, finding a place that is close to my in-laws because they're still helping, but not so close that they can like we get so enmeshed. So yeah, so in a way, it's that flexibility to so that the current focus is actually to allow my daughter to thrive and for her to feel love, instead of most dynamic, no, most divorce dynamic is that their children feel like they're not being loved. Like
I agree.
yeah, and then it gets into a another downward spiral.
Yeah. So I
Mm,
come from a divorced family. So
mm.
I do agree with you.
Yeah,
Like if
the
any
scar, the fear, and the
yeah,
self-blame. Because as a child, we always will blame, is it because of me that they are like that? But of course, as we grow up, we know that it is not. They are struggling with their own shit, their own, baggages that they carried down, whatnot. But the scar is already there, and it's
yeah.
deep. It
Yeah,
and
and then we have to do all this work to like get
yes,
up inner
yes,
child and all that stuff,
yes,
right?
yes. Oh, my
Uh,
goosebumps are standing right now. But yeah, I mean, as much as I can make logic and make sense of it intellectually, but sometimes when we are being triggered, when our emotions, take over, the old nervous system and the patterns and everything, it still kicks back because of how deep the scars are and how personally we take all this as a child,
I
and it
really
still
love
stays.
that you share this story because it allows other women that maybe is in the same situation to reach out because
Mm,
they'll know that you understand that.
mm,
So it gives them, yeah, just that like a door that maybe they haven't considered of
mm.
someone that's done that. So
Yeah.
that's really awesome because like I could say that as a kid from like a divorced family, it's yeah, it isn't two parents that are not in a positive, loving relationship
Mm,
staying together does not help the kid at all. It's like the kid
no.
just wants to feel love, whether you
Yeah.
guys are together or separated.
Yes.
You know, as long as we feel the love, that's all we
Yes.
actually care about.
Yes.
So by
Mm.
staying together or trying to put up the the
Show
thing doesn't
we
actually help
sense
anything.
no,
But
because we sense the energy, especially as
right,
kids. We are even more tapped
pick
in,
it
we're
up.
more into it.
Yeah.
Yes, we pick up everything.
That's why I love the story you share. It's like what you did is actually you're giving the blueprint to the kid of like, hey, it's not that this probably isn't the scenario you want in life, but hey, if you did happen to have something like at least you know that you could always take care of yourself. You have options. You know how to set yourself up financially so that you're not
Mm,
stuck in a
mm,
situation you don't want to be in, and
mm,
that's great to
mm.
know that you don't have to be like feeling trapped or suffering,
Yeah.
right?
And the truth is we are never ever trapped. Yeah. And by actually expanding what we see, we can see that there are actually a lot more options.
Yes, and by being
Mm.
someone with you and other women in a supportive community. And I love that it's actually women focused because
Yeah.
then everyone will feel a lot more safe and can
Safe.
share their
Yes.
story, right?
Yeah, and
Wow.
even like what you pointed out is so accurate. Like even for women in investment, it's actually a really so much about safety, the understanding the safety
Yes.
versus men. I feel like the whole finance game, like like trading and everything, is a game designed by men, for the dopamine hit, for the hunter, that instinct.
Um,
But women, we what we want is very different because like I serve men, I even coached men before in my early months of my coaching, but I realized that our psychology is very different. So when I started to have really women's only space, the women started opening up. They feel
mm.
safe. They feel and we do have, I mean, although they are from different parts of the world, but we have that common struggles, that common feeling that yeah, so it's so beautiful in terms of that dynamic
That
when it's
is
just
very
only
beautiful
women.
and time flies. So yeah, well, amazing. Thank you for coming
Mm.
in, Crystal. If anyone wants to reach out to Crystal, is the best way to DM you on your Instagram?
Yes, yes. And I will be having a lot more resources that I'll put out periodically to help you on your journey. So follow me on Instagram and yeah, I will keep sharing because coming back from our trip, I had so many ideas and I just need time to put it to make it tangible.
Yeah, amazing. Keep your eyes out, guys. All right, thank
Yes,
you.
thank you.
Excel in life, live your purpose, be free.